You know the exact social media post I'm talking about. You're scrolling through your feed, and suddenly there it is, like a brightly colored graphic promising, I don't know, 5 exercises to blast belly fat in just 10
Oh,
days.
yeah. Or it's, a high-energy video showing some hyper-specific core routine that's guaranteed to carve out lower abdominal definition if you just do it every single morning.
Right. It is everywhere. And honestly, it's incredibly tempting to believe. I mean, we all want that shortcut, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, it's entirely by design that we fall for it. Human beings are just biologically wired to look for direct, visible causes and effects.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it's incredibly comforting to think that if you just squeeze a specific muscle enough times, the fat sitting directly on top of it will, simply melt away as a direct reward for your localized effort.
But today, we are stripping away the fitness influencer myths, the wishful thinking, the slick marketing. We're going to look at the hard science of how your body actually manages fat, hunger, and energy.
Yeah, we really are.
We are taking you on a deep dive into your own metabolism on a profound biological level. And I promise, we are leaving all the textbook jargon at the door.
Definitely.
By the end of this conversation, you will understand exactly why that belly blasting workout is feeling you and what your body's survival mechanics are actually doing behind the scenes.
To get to the bottom of this, we are pulling together insights from across the scientific spectrum. We're going to look at massive reviews of exercise data, computational models of human metabolism.
Which is fascinating, by the way.
Right. And also the deep biology of our fight or flight response and the chemical communication between your digestive tract and your brain.
So let's unpack the biggest myth straight out of the gate here. Spot reduction.
The classic.
Yeah. It's this widespread idea that doing bicep curls burns bicep fat, or doing sit-ups burns belly fat, which, feels logical.
It does feel logical, but a massive 2022 systematic review published in the journal Human Movement decided to test this logic definitively.
And what did they find? Because it's quite a study.
Well, the researchers who authored this review were clearly tired of the debate, so they gathered the highest quality data available. They isolated 13 heavily controlled studies that specifically tested localized exercise interventions.
So how many people are we talking about here?
We are looking at a sample size of 11,158 participants. This includes men and women ranging in age from teenagers all the way up to people in their 70s.
And the way they actually tested this is brilliant. I mean, they didn't just have people do sit-ups and measure their waists.
Right, exactly. They compared a trained limb against an untrained limb on the exact same person.
Oh, wow. So you might have a participant doing, extensive resistance training on their right leg for weeks.
Yeah, while their left leg essentially just hangs out and does nothing.
That is such a smart way to test it. That internal control is what makes the data so powerful.
Right, because if spot reduction is a real biological phenomenon, the leg doing hundreds of repetitions should demonstrably lose more fat than the resting leg. So the researchers measured the localized fat deposits in those specific areas before and after the exercise programs.
And the results just shut down the entire fitness influencer industry.
Completely. When they pooled all the data from over 1,000 participants, the statistical effect size was negative 0.03.
Wait, negative 0.03?
Yeah. To put that in plain terms, the effect is entirely non-existent. Spot reduction absolutely does not happen.
None at all.
None. It doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your biological sex, and it doesn't matter how intense or specific the localized exercise program is. The fat on the working limb barely budged any more than the fat on the resting limb.
Okay, let me unpack this. If I do 1,000 sit-ups, my abdominal muscles certainly get stronger, right?
Yes, the muscle tissue itself hypertrophies.
But the fat layer sitting on top of those muscles, it does not care what the muscle underneath is doing.
It really doesn't.
It's like trying to drain the shallow end of a swimming pool with a bucket. You can stand in one specific corner of that pool and scoop water out all day long, but you cannot lower the water level in just that one spot.
But that is a great way to look at it.
The water level of the entire pool drops equally, all at once.
The swimming pool analogy captures the biological reality perfectly. The fat distributed across your body is the water in that pool. Interestingly, the researchers in this review did not hold back in their conclusion.
Oh, they definitely didn't.
No, they explicitly attribute the persistent, widespread belief in spot reduction to wishful thinking. They point a finger directly at marketing strategies driven by influencers seeking clicks and, companies selling localized fat loss procedures.
Right, because they are capitalizing on our psychological desire for quick, targeted fixes, even when the science proves it's impossible.
Exactly. Selling a magical thigh slimming workout is just a lot easier than explaining whole body metabolic adaptation.
But if we cannot manually target fat with exercise, like if we were just taking buckets out of the swimming pool, how does the body actually decide when and how to burn it?
So to answer that, we actually have to transition from physical exercises to mathematical modeling.
Okay, math. I'm with you.
Dr. Kevin Hall and his team at the National Institutes of Health approached this from a fascinating angle. For decades, the dominant advice in the fitness world was just a simple math equation, right?
Yeah, the classic burn 3,500 calories to lose a pound of fat, just calories in, calories out.
Right, but Dr. Hall's team realized the body is not a static bomb calorimeter.
Because the body reacts to what you do to it. Like, if you cut calories, your body doesn't just sit there and blindly burn away its reserves at the same rate.
Exactly. The NIH team built a highly complex computational model of human metabolism to map out these reactions. This model tracks all three major macronutrients, so that's carbohydrates, fat, and protein. And it maps how they interact with each other over time. It calculates the creation of fat, the breakdown of fat, how the body synthesizes new glucose when it's running low, and how protein is turned over in the muscles.
So they managed to turn this incredibly complex biology into basically a predictive tool.
Yes, it's called the body weight planner.
So for the listener trying to understand their own metabolism, what does this all mean? Can a mathematical spreadsheet really predict exactly how much you need to eat to prevent weight regain?
Well, the models can calculate steady state changes in body weight, but they also prove mathematically that metabolism is intensely adaptive.
Adaptive how?
When you perturb the system, say, by suddenly going on a crash diet and cutting 1,000 calories a day, your body dynamically alters its energy expenditure to compensate.
Oh, I see. It's acting exactly like a smart thermostat in your house.
Yes.
If you open a window in the dead of winter, the house doesn't just freeze immediately. The thermostat senses the drop in temperature and kicks the furnace into overdrive to fight the cold.
Precisely. When you cut calories, your metabolism fights back by slowing down how much energy you burn naturally, just trying to preserve its fuel.
That makes so much sense.
That adaptation is why weight loss plateaus are so common, and why the simple 3,500 calorie rule constantly fails people in the real world. Your body changes its entire fuel selection strategy based on the stress you're putting it under.
Which makes me wonder about the physical mechanism behind all this math. Because if my metabolism is this grand adapting equation, and it's not my muscles deciding to burn the fat right next to them, what biological trigger is actually pulling the strings?
Right.
Like, what is sending the physical signal to a fat cell on my stomach to start releasing energy?
The trigger for systemic fat breakdown is deeply tied to your body's survival mechanisms.
Yeah.
It's controlled by the autonomic nervous system, specifically the sympathetic side, which we commonly call the fight or flight response.
Oh, the fight or flight. Okay.
Yeah. When your brain perceives stress, it floods your system with adrenaline-like hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine.
And these stress hormones are basically looking for specific locks to fit their keys into, right?
Exactly. They bind to what are called adrenergic receptors, which are distributed all over your body. The literature divides these into two main operational families, alpha and beta receptors.
Okay, alpha and beta.
And looking at how they function paints an incredible picture of how your body prioritizes immediate survival over everything else.
Let's group these because it is a fascinating biological seesaw. On one side, we have the alpha receptors, which essentially act as the body's brakes and constrictors.
Yes, the brakes.
When a massive stressor hits, alpha-1 receptors cause your blood vessels to violently narrow, which spikes your systemic blood pressure. And they also force the tiny muscles in your eyes to contract, pulling your pupils wide open so you can take in more visual information.
Right, the mydriasis. And beyond just blood pressure and vision, the alpha receptors shut down anything that isn't instantly necessary for survival.
Like what?
Well, they contract the sphincters in your stomach and bladder. Because if you are running for your life, digesting that sandwich you ate for lunch or needing to use the restroom are liabilities.
That makes a lot of sense.
The alpha-2 side also tells your pancreas to decrease insulin while increasing glucagon to flood your bloodstream with sugar for immediate fuel.
So the alpha side is locking down the non-essentials and tightening the system. On the flip side of that seesaw, we have the beta receptors.
Right.
And these act as the gas pedal and dilators.
Exactly. While the alpha receptors are constricting, the beta receptors are relaxing and opening critical pathways. Beta 1 increases your heart rate and contractility.
Pumping the blood faster.
Yeah. And beta 2 relaxes the smooth muscle tissue in your lungs. Bronchodilation, widening your airways so you can pull in massive amounts of oxygen. It also dilates the blood vessels leading directly to the heart, ensuring it gets a surplus of that freshly oxygenated blood.
Which brings us to the most important receptor for our conversation,
Yes,
beta 3.
beta 3. Beta 3 receptors are located primarily in your adipose tissue, which is your body fat. When the stress hormones hit these specific receptors, they sound a systemic alarm. They trigger widespread lipolysis.
The breakdown of stored fat.
Exactly, breaking it down into free energy that gets dumped directly into the bloodstream.
Here is where this really gets interesting. The body is hitting the brakes and the gas at the exact same time.
Yeah.
It's violently constricting blood vessels and shutting down digestion with the alpha receptors,
Right.
while simultaneously throwing the airways wide open and dumping fat into the bloodstream with the beta receptors. Why create that kind of intense biological conflict?
Well, what's fascinating here is that it's not a conflict at all. It's the ultimate evolutionary fine-tuning.
How so?
Picture this. A mountain lion suddenly jumps onto the hiking trail right in front of you. In a fraction of a second, your pupils dilate so you can track the threat. Your airways relax and open wide so you can gulp oxygen. Your heart rate spikes. Digestion completely halts. And simultaneously, fat cells from your shoulders to your stomach to your legs all dump energy into your bloodstream, so your leg muscles have the fuel to sprint.
It is a full-body symphony of panic and survival.
That's a great way to put it.
And that mechanism completely shatters the spot reduction myth. The fat burning triggered by those beta 3 receptors is a systemic chemical alarm bell. It is entirely disconnected from the localized mechanical flexing of doing 50 bicep curls in an air-conditioned gym.
Totally disconnected.
Your body does not care what muscle is moving. It only cares about flooding the entire system with energy to survive the mountain lion.
Exactly. The biological reality is that fat breakdown is a hormonal response to a full-body stress demand, not a mechanical response to a moving muscle.
But wait, that raises a major question. The nervous system handles the acute emergency, the mountain lion attack. But how does the body manage its energy on a boring Tuesday when you're just sitting at your desk?
Right, without the adrenaline.
Yeah, how does it know when to eat or when to stop eating when there's no mountain lion?
To understand everyday chronic energy management, we have to look at the gut-brain axis. We generally think of the stomach and intestines as a passive plumbing system.
Just a tube that mechanically breaks down whatever we swallow.
Right. But a comprehensive medical review on this shows the gastrointestinal tract is actually the largest endocrine organ in the entire human body. It's a massive hormone-producing factory.
The idea that our gut is an endocrine organ in the same way the thyroid or the pancreas is, that it changes the whole paradigm.
It really does. Diffused throughout the lining of your gut are highly specialized sensors called enteroendocrine L cells. These cells literally monitor the nutritional content of what's passing through.
Okay.
And here's the crazy part. They contain the exact same types of receptors that function as taste buds on your tongue.
Wait, really? Are you saying my intestines can essentially taste my food?
On a chemical level, yes. Your gut has specific sensors like T1R2 and T1R3 designed to detect the presence of sweet tastes, and others, like GPR43, specifically calibrated to detect short-chain fatty acids.
That is wild.
When these intestinal taste buds detect a heavy influx of nutrients, they begin releasing chemical messengers to report the situation to headquarters.
And headquarters is the brain. But how do those chemical messengers get from the small intestine all the way up to the brain to tell you that you are full?
They utilize two separate pathways. One is a direct, high-speed neurological phone line called the vagus nerve, which runs straight from the gut into the brainstem.
Okay, the vagus nerve.
And the second pathway is through the bloodstream. And this is where it gets really interesting. The brain usually protects itself with a strict security system called the blood-brain barrier, which keeps circulating chemicals out.
Right, to protect the brain.
But there are specific areas in the brain, the circumventricular organs, that purposefully lack this full barrier.
Like a VIP entrance for these gut hormones so they can bypass security and walk right in.
Exactly that. These hormones travel through the blood and gain direct access to a region in the hypothalamus called the arcuate nucleus, or ARC, which acts as the ultimate control room for your appetite.
Okay, so what happens in the control room?
Inside this control room, there is a constant biological tug-of-war happening between two opposing sets of neurons.
One side of the rope is pulling for you to eat more.
Yes, the orexigenic neurons, When those are activated, they send intense signals driving hunger and food-seeking behavior. They are essentially screaming at you to eat.
And the other side?
On the other side of the rope are the anorexigenic neurons. When they take over, they send the signal that you are completely satiated and you naturally stop eating.
So let's look at the specific chemical messengers traveling on that gut-to-brain phone line that are pulling the rope in this tug-of-war. Because it explains so much about our daily habits, we can think of them as the accelerator and the braking system.
Okay.
Let's start with the accelerator, ghrelin.
Ghrelin is unique because out of all the hormones produced in your gut, it is the only one dedicated to making you hungry. When your stomach is empty and you're fasting, ghrelin levels rise, stepping on the gas pedal to drive you to eat. Once you consume a meal, those levels rapidly plummet.
But the research highlights a couple of bizarre paradoxes about ghrelin. For one, if you eat a consistently high-fat diet, it actually blunts the effects of ghrelin, making the brain somewhat deaf to its signals.
Yeah, that's true.
And even stranger, you would assume that overweight individuals would have extremely high levels of this hunger hormone driving them to overeat. But ghrelin levels are actually characteristically low in obese subjects.
Which tells us something profound. If an obese person has very low ghrelin, their gut is actually trying to pull its foot off the accelerator. The body is attempting to signal that it doesn't need more calories, but that signal is being ignored or overridden by something else in the system.
Which brings us to the highly sophisticated braking system. If ghrelin is the gas pedal, what is stopping us from eating until we burst?
Your gut deploys a multi-layered braking system, releasing several distinct satiety hormones in proportion to the calories you just consumed. One of them is a hormone called PYY, which targets the Y2R receptor in the brain to directly reduce appetite.
Okay, PYY.
Then there is a hormone you have likely been hearing a lot about recently, GLP-1.
Oh, GLP-1 is incredibly powerful. It hits the brakes on multiple fronts. I mean, it physically slows down how fast your stomach empties its contents, gastric emptying, literally keeping you feeling full for a longer period.
Right. And it also talks directly to the pancreas to boost insulin production, an incretin effect, helping clear the incoming sugar out of your blood.
Amazing.
The braking system also includes hormones like oxyntomodulin and glucagon. These add a completely different dynamic. They don't just reduce your urge to eat by making you feel full, they actively signal the body to increase its energy expenditure.
So they tell the metabolism to take the fuel it already has and start burning it at a higher rate.
Exactly.
It's basically an intestinal brake system. You
Mhm.
eat food, the intestinal taste buds detect the nutrients, they release a cascade of braking hormones like GLP-1, the brain gets the VIP message, and you naturally put the fork down while your metabolism revs up.
It's flawless.
But I have to ask the obvious question here. If we possess this incredible, evolutionarily perfected hormonal system, why are nearly 2 billion people worldwide overweight? Why is the brake system failing so spectacularly?
Because our modern environment has completely outpaced our biology. This intricate system was built for an ancestral world of scarcity, where calories were hard to find and took time to digest.
Right.
It was not built for a world where you can consume 1,000 calories of highly processed liquid sugar in 3 minutes. By the time those hyperpalatable foods hit the gut and the hormonal phone line finally sends the full signal to the brain, you've already vastly overconsumed. The environment is essentially short-circuiting the biological wiring.
Which brings us to how modern medicine is attempting to intervene. If the gut-brain axis is being overwhelmed by a toxic food environment, telling someone to just have more willpower is utterly useless. You have to physically or chemically repair the broken signaling.
And for a long time, the most effective medical intervention to reset a broken gut-brain axis was bariatric surgery, like a Roux-en-Y gastric bypass.
Most people, myself included, always assumed bariatric surgery was just a plumbing solution. You surgically shrink the physical capacity of the stomach so the person literally cannot fit as much food inside without being sick.
That mechanical restriction is certainly part of it, and it's what scientists believed was the primary driver of weight loss for years. But the sources reveal a much more profound mechanism.
Oh.
Surgically rerouting the digestive tract creates massive immediate hormonal shifts. Following a bypass, the levels of those braking hormones like PYY and GLP-1 absolutely skyrocket, while the hunger hormone ghrelin plummets.
So the surgery isn't just making the stomach smaller. It is physically rewiring the gut-to-brain phone line to blast the satiety signal at maximum volume.
Yes. That chemical rewiring is so rapid and so powerful that it can resolve type 2 diabetes in patients before substantial weight loss even occurs. The metabolic signaling is repaired almost instantly.
But major gastrointestinal surgery is extreme, invasive, and permanent. Not everyone can or should get a gastric bypass. So the scientific community asked the next logical question. Can we synthesize these exact braking hormones in a laboratory?
And they started by looking at GLP-1. The problem is that the GLP-1, our human bodies, naturally produce degrains in the bloodstream in a matter of minutes. To use it as a once-a-week drug, they needed a version that could survive in the body much longer.
Right.
Surprisingly, they found a naturally occurring, long-lasting GLP-1 mimic in the venom of the Gila monster, a lizard native to the American Southwest.
Wait, lizard venom holding the key to human obesity is one of the wildest things I have ever heard.
I know, it sounds like science fiction. But from that venom, researchers developed a synthetic version called exenatide. It beautifully mimics human GLP-1, suppressing appetite and boosting insulin, but its unique structure allows it to last much longer in the human body.
Wow.
That initial discovery cracked the code, opening the floodgates for the entire new class of GLP-1 drugs that are revolutionizing obesity treatment worldwide today.
And the pharmaceutical engineering is only accelerating. The research indicates that companies are moving past single hormones and developing what are called chimeric agonists.
Yeah, that's the next frontier.
A chimera in mythology is a beast made of different animals, right? Like a lion with a goat's head.
Yeah.
So what is a chimeric drug?
It's a single designer molecule engineered to bind to multiple different hormone receptors at the exact same time. Think back to our braking system. GLP-1 suppresses appetite, while glucagon increases energy expenditure.
Okay.
Pharmaceutical companies have successfully combined them. They've engineered a single medication that acts as both a GLP-1 trigger and a glucagon trigger simultaneously.
So instead of just telling the brain to suppress the appetite, this single molecule is simultaneously telling the pancreas to boost insulin and telling the cellular metabolism to ramp up energy expenditure. It is attacking the problem from 3 different biological angles all at once.
Exactly. It leverages the powerful appetite suppression of one hormone and pairs it with the calorie-burning power of another.
This completely changes how we view weight loss. For decades, struggling with weight has been framed by society as a moral failing. It was dismissed as a lack of discipline, a plumbing issue, a willpower issue, just a simple failure to do the math on the treadmill.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, looking at the complex web of receptors, stress responses, and gut hormones, it's abundantly clear that this is a chemical signaling issue. This is the future of treating obesity.
We are finally learning to speak the body's native chemical language. Instead of relying on flawed restriction diets or buying into those magical spot reduction workout myths we talked about at the beginning, science is addressing the biology exactly where it happens.
At the receptor level.
Let's take a breath and recap the incredible journey we have taken your metabolism on today. We started by completely debunking the physical myth of spot reduction. Remember the swimming pool? You cannot drain just one corner of fat by doing endless crunches.
Right. And then we looked at the NIH's mathematical models, proving that your metabolism isn't just a passive calories in, calories out calculator. It's a dynamic, adapting thermostat that fights back against dietary perturbations.
From there, we uncovered the adrenaline-fueled alpha and beta receptors of the nervous system. We learned that the systemic fat burning triggered by your beta-3 receptors is an evolutionary survival mechanism designed to help you outrun a mountain lion, not a mechanism to tone your waistline.
Yeah. And finally, we decoded the chemical language of your gut. We learned how those enteroendocrine L cells in your intestines use specialized taste sensors to release hormones like ghrelin to step on the gas and GLP-1 to slam on the brakes.
And we saw how modern medicine, inspired by everything from gastric bypasses to lizard venom, is finally figuring out how to repair that broken braking system. You are now armed with the actual biological science of energy homeostasis.
And that deep understanding of your own machinery is infinitely more powerful than the latest fitness influencer fad.
Absolutely. But before we wrap up, we want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over based on the source text.
Yes. We discussed how the L cells in our gut literally use sweet-sensing taste receptors, T1R2 and T1R3, to trigger the release of satiety hormones like GLP-1. The gut tastes the sweetness and immediately prepares the body to process a massive influx of calories.
So think about what happens when we consume zero-calorie artificial sweeteners. If our gut tastes something intensely sweet and chemically prepares the insulin and satiety response for a huge caloric payload that never actually arrives,
Are we inadvertently confusing our own sophisticated hormonal phone line?
it's a profound question. If the biological thermostat prepares for energy and receives nothing, how does that highly adaptive mathematical model react later in the day when real food arrives?
It's definitely something to think about.
Something for you to chew on next time you reach for a diet soda while watching a video on how to blast belly fat. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.